Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I want to make this video about a topic in the military. It's been a while since I made a military video. It was just kind of, I just didn't really have much to say, and I didn't really want to kind of bring up things that may bring up, drench up memories, right? But I want to talk about this. It goes maybe up here or down here, right? So this rank that I have held for the last month or so, and it's a bit of a complication to kind of explain how I got that O1 rank. It's not just O1, it's O1E because I was enlisted before. So how does that work? What kind of branch and what branch? Is it the Air Force because I was in the Air Force? It's not the Air Force. And the reason that I didn't make this video during my time as an officer is because I didn't want people, and if you actually watch my video before, you'll realize that I had some drama with my National Guard base in back in West Virginia, the 167th Airlift Wing, the LRS, for example, and especially the VM over in Martinsburg, West Virginia, right? So there's a whole nother video if you want to kind of get the whole detailed explanation of what happened there. But to make things short, I got discriminated against because of my skill level and whatnot, my skill in language, and it created a lot of friction with people who are very jealous that I'm moving up way too fast, and I'm getting, and it's more than one thing, right? It was a lot of things combined. So I'm just trying to put that camera so that I don't need to hold it the entire time. And this whole video feed it just zoom in, so it's just getting me this thing. All right, so this is good enough. I'm gonna move back a little bit so I'm not so big in that thing. But anyways, the topic that I really want to talk about today is officer versus enlisted. What is it like to be an officer versus being an enlisted? I was enlisted for 8.5 years, so I know quite a bit about being enlisted, right? And if you ask different people, they're going to give you a different answer because they don't want to be honest, right? They don't want to tell you that being officer is so much better and nicer, and you feel like you get treated so much better and it's easier, and because some ego there, and they don't want to kind of kind of put down what their position there. But it is a higher position, it's higher prestige, and you do get the respect that you never got in enlisted, right? So if you have to pick between officers or enlisted, I would 10 times out of 10 pick officers over enlisted, right? It's just no brainer, right? But what a lot of time when you talk to an officer that has been enlisted first, you're gonna ask them like, hey, what's harder? What do you think is harder, being an officer or being enlisted? They're always gonna say being officer is harder, and that's not true. It is true and it's not true. So let me explain what I mean by that, and I'll explain what my position is as an officer and how it's only lasts for 1 month because it's a special program that allows me to commission for a little bit. So being an officer is technically more responsibility, right? It is because of more responsibility, it is harder, right? But it's a harder in a nice way, right? You are treated so much better, right? And it's harder because you have more responsibility in the things that you have to do, in the responsibility that you're given to lead and to kind of manage the type of job that you are. Most officers, you're not just gonna come in and just kind of sit around like enlisted or kind of twirling your thumb. You have to have your own direction as an officer. You come in and you need to kind of make things happen yourself, right? Like no one's gonna really tell you what to do. They will, but for the most part, what you need to do is kind of on your. Now let me kind of explain what kind of officer I am. I was, because I just left. I'm at the hotel right now, if you can't tell. So I'm driving back from where I was stationed in Gallup, New Mexico, where actually it's Navajo area office. And what kind of officer was I? I have an O1 rank, I have this bar. I didn't put it on because I was not required to put on uniform. There are officers that have their uniform on, but I was in medical. I'm a medical officer. So first of all, like, people are going to be like, oh well, your medical is completely different, right? It's a better environment. It's more relaxed, and no one's going to be as toxic. And that's correct. There is some truth to that. But being officer in general, not a lot of people are going to be that toxic to you, especially when you're not in training anymore, right? When you get to your first unit and whatnot. In training, yeah, you're going to get some toxicity and whatnot. So what's the benefits of being an officer over enlisted? And I'm talking about work, just work. And what did I do? I was in medical. What did I do in medical, and what branch? So let's talk about what kind of medical I was. A safety officer, right? I kind of put in a slot of an industrial hygienist, but it's more of an environmental health officer, or in the Air Force that we call bio-environmental engineering type officer. It's safety officer in the medical branch, and in the medical corps. And what I specialized in was radiation. So I have a master's degree in radiation health physics. So it's a higher degree than most officers would kind of come in with. A lot of people go to ROTC. They'll get a bachelor degree. Their undergrad. They'll finish their undergrad, and they'll get a bachelor degree in something, and they'll do ROTC when they're doing that, and they just come out as an online officer, which is more competitive, and it is not as the same environment. But being an officer, you have a lot of prestige and benefits that you would not have gotten as an enlisted. So the first thing that and also, before I kind of go into deep, what do I do in the air, in the what branch? I just told you what I did. I'm a radiation safety officer, I guess, or well, actually, just kind of I'm actually a environmental safety officer. That's kind of the main title, but I specialize in radiation, while other people may specialize in other things as well. But I do other things in environmental safety as well. So what branch? United States, the PHS, right? So making it short, United States Public Health Service Commission Corps, right? So there are, I think, 9 service, uniform service in the United States, generally. So you have your traditional DoD, which is your Air Force, your Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, Army, right? So those 6 branches are the main military branches. Oh, so I guess it's 8. So eight uniform service branches. And then you have your NOAA. So some of you may know NOAA, the National Oceanic and Aviation, or Commission Corps as well. And then you have your USPHS, which is your Public Health Commission Corps, which is just a medical corps only. When people ask me what branch I serve, I usually just say Coast Guard, because we wear Coast Guard uniform. And the way that I was able to do the short-term commissioning was because I was able to do the JR Co-Step, Junior Co-Step. It's technically an internship, but you commission as an O1, and then you would work on that commission, like that job, for your entire time that you kind of serve. I served 31 days. Actually more than 31 days. It's actually 45 days, so it's almost like an order. And because of administrative problem, I was not commissioned technically. I was technically, because of all officers in the United States, no matter what branch, is required to be signed off by the President of the United States or his political appointees. And because of some Doge cuts and some problem with the administration at that time, I don't know what happened with the department at that time, the executive branch. It was so delayed that they were able to switch me into another position, which Oak Ridge National Lab was able to kind of pick up the tab and put me in. But in all sense and purposes, I was in the exact same position as an officer would. I have the same thing. I went to all the application is with the officer. I was approved as an O1 and everything, but it would just need to that final sign off. I was not signed off, so I was technically not an officer in the system. But job, work wise, everything is exactly the same as an officer. Same position, same supervisor underneath an officer, same office, same work, same everything, right? So, and because of that, I didn't have to obviously put on the uniform. But all intents and purposes, I'm an O1. I'm in that position, right? And it would not be different, if I was approved. I would be doing the exact same job and get treated the exact same way, right? So I'm not having that argument about, oh, well, you're technically not an officer. It doesn't matter if it's technical or not technical. I was in that role, and that's all that matters. So because I'm in that role and I would be treated the same way as an officer, that doesn't really matter, right? So like, what is the difference between officer and enlisted? So we're like coming into that. I'm not trying to talk too much. So being an officer, no one's ever going to tell you to go take out the trash, right? Take out the trash, throw out the trash, do grunt work, go pick the weeds. No one's gonna tell you to go sweep the rain in the thunderstorm. No one's gonna tell you to go shovel snow. No one's gonna tell you to go and clean the toilet with a toothbrush. You have none of that things where you would kind of experience it in enlisted. Now, of course, those type of experience that you may get in enlisted is lower enlisted, right? So once you get to a certain rank, no one's gonna tell you to do that either. So let's say you pass E5, you're never going to be doing like that kind of level of control. You may be required to take out the trash and all these different things, but you're not gonna have to do it when you go to senior NCO and whatnot. But being an officer, you demand so much more respect from everyone. No one's going to kind of put you down. Even if you do, you have the opportunity to just kind of be like, okay, bye, kind of things. But of course, you have the respect and courtesy that you have. I was the only person there that have any type of knowledge on radiation. I'm a health physicist by trade, right? Health physicist, nuclear, nuclear safety. That's the what they are. You need to know a lot about nuclear. So like I went to school with a bunch of nuclear engineers, right? So that's the same school as a nuclear engineer school, right? But it has more of a public health kind of feel to it. So I did take some classes with public health, so it's radiation safety, right? So for the environment and everything. So I was able to go in and what I did was I went to a different hospital and I would kind of inspect every hospital, and we call it survey, right? We would survey different hospital and whatnot, and we would go around the hospital, and I didn't just do radiation, I did like kind of airflow. So certain room has to have air coming in and out, high pressure versus low pressure in certain room, fire safety, different things. But like I said, my bread and butter is in radiation. So what I really kind of took over was the radiation. We have 5 different big hospital, 5, and we have multiple smaller clinics. And I went over to different one of them and inspecting most of the radiation, kind of doing like a report on what they have wrong and stuff like that. And actually, the other day before I left, I actually shut down the hospital in one of the NAFO because it was not up to safety standard. I didn't shut it down, but I did shut down the CT and the radiology room in one of them. And I'm not saying that as that I'm proud of, but it's just showing you the kind of authority that I was able to command as an officer that I would never have been able to command as an enlisted, especially lower enlisted when I left as an E5. So, and the person who is in charge of that, and because it's a Navy rank, it's a captain, which is not an O3, it's a full board captain, so an O6, right? So a colonel level. So colonel level, 06 would be kind of like the wing commander, right? They would take over the whole base. They would kind of be in charge of a lot of things, right underneath the general type deal, where general would be kind of in charge of the whole sect, right? But like the wing commander would be like the base commander, right? Something like that. So she was the hospital commander, pretty much. We call her the CEO because it's a hospital, right? And yeah, she would call me. She's like, hey, please, like, can we? Is there anything we could do to kind of keep it open? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I was like, no, it's not up to code. We can't do that. I'm so sorry, because it's just something that is not to code, and because this doesn't have the correct measure and inspection that it needed to operate. It's not safe for the worker to be in there, right? Or we don't know if it's safe for the worker because radiation is not something that you want to play with, right? So because of that, even though I'm an O1 because I'm an officer, I don't have to be pussyfooting around any type of officer, even a full bird type colonel. So I'm just gonna call her colonel. She's a captain actually, because Navy rank, but I'm just gonna call her Colonel '06, right? Because I'm used to the Air Force rank, right? So I'm just gonna be full bird colonel. Because when I was enlisted, right, and when I was going through enlisted, I was told like, oh yeah, like those. Like any officer, like especially past an 03 or even like an 01 to an 03, but usually past that, like you don't talk to them. They're a god type deal, right? You don't think you need to be very nervous and they walk in the room like, oh yes sir, you know, you need to be, you know, like that. Oh yes sir, you know. But then when I'm in this position, I'm able to talk back to the officer and be like, no, ma'am, this is not up to standard. We're gonna shut it down. Like you have to shut it down. We're not gonna do this. Like if it's not by the books, right? Something like that. If it's not up to standard, if not up to code, it's bad for the people working there. You know, they could be developing certain health problems from the radiation that you don't just take something to slap it in without formal approval first, right? So I was having conversation. I was able to kind of command a lot of respect and write reports to people, and and today, when I left, a commander, which is an lieutenant colonel type level, we're at 05, took me out for lunch, and we kind of have a conversation, and I expressed to her like, oh, my problems that I have with some radiation departments is not up to standard, and I was not able to have that kind of formal conversation with an officer, or high-ranking senior officer when I was enlisted at all. I was not able to have that kind of respect. I was not able. One other thing, as an officer, if I to work late that day, I could just be like, hey, I'm taking comp time. I'm gonna come late tomorrow, right? There's a good reason that I would take comp time. So let's say I'm writing a report and it took the whole night and I didn't go to bed, and I was writing the report after work all the way till 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And I'd just be like, hey, I'll just text like, hey, I'm coming in at 10 o'clock in the morning because I need sleep and I work on this all night, and it's not even a request. I'm just like, hey, I'm doing this, right? Because I'm an officer, right? You're like, okay, well, as other officer, maybe if they're not medical, they're not as relaxed. So you do definitely have, but you don't have a bunch of people stepping up that you have to step across to be like, hey, a bunch of people have to sign off on it, and you ask your supervisor, hey, can I come in late? And then you come in late, and then the person, the E3 or the E7 decided, the senior NCO got all mad at you took or something. Ain't no one gonna tell me that I can't do it. It's me and my supervisor, and he's cool with it because I bring a lot of skills that they don't have, right? So see, this is the thing with officer. You don't need to deal with a lot of BS, the bull in enlisted. You don't have to deal with that, right? It's so much better environment. You're not going to be talked down to. No one's going to talk to you like you're a child, and that's a big thing. When I was enlisted, I'm a full grown adult, and people are treating me like a child. Even when I have a bachelor degree in physics with a 3.9 GPA, people still treat me like crap. But then as an officer, the environment is so different. People treat you so well, and sometimes. When it's just us, I'm just calling my a commander, by their first name, or sometimes I'll call a full bird colonel, which is a captain in the Navy rank, by their first name, and it's not a big deal. We hang out outside of work, in enlisted you can't hang out with officer, because of fraternization and all these things, and they're trying to be, but we have a bit different conversation, and you can really feel that you're in a different league. So yeah, don't let anyone tell you that these type butterbar rank, it's, oh, whatever, what's so special about being an officer, being enlisted, you do more. No, this is where the prestige is. This is where the good treatment is, right? This is where the good treatment is. No one's gonna get mad at you for making a video, explaining how the military works, no one's gonna be mad at, and a lot of trust there. Of course, there's more responsibility, and you're expected to perform in that responsibility. But you're not gonna have some senior enlisted E7 barking down, like, oh, how dare you do this and that and blah 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 blah, and like making you feel all these things, and like, oh, how dare you put on why did you put your hands in your pockets, blah blah blah, and you're trying to, like, hey, go, you don't get to go home until you clean all these things. I go home when all my work is done. If my work is done early, I'll go home early. A lot of times, because there's a lot of work, I stay later. I usually go home way later. But like, no one's gonna have an aneurysm because I show up 2 minutes late. No one ever had an aneurysm. Sometimes I show up like 15 minutes, half an hour late, and like no one really cares, right? They're like, okay, well, cool. Well, thank you. Like, hey, we have some work. Can you look at this? I'm like, okay, cool. No one's complaining that you're 2 minutes late. No one having an aneurysm. When I was enlisted, I come in 1 minute late. My supervisor have a panic attack. Gave me paperwork for coming in 1 minute late. Like, oh my God, oh, you don't respect the time. 15 minutes early, not 1 minute late. Officer, I come in whenever I want to come in. Well, within reason. I don't push it, but there's a different treatment between officers and enlisted, and you can definitely figure it out. And I understand it is medical branch, which is different, right? And it's environmental, right? It's bioenvironmental if you were in the Air Force, but like you're not you know that you have the education that no one has, and you come in within reason, because maybe you work a little bit later, you come in a little bit later, and you explain it in your mind. But no one's having a panic attack for 2 minutes late, and you're respecting other people's time. So if you have to be somewhere at a certain time, you definitely is going to be there. Here, like, I was sent on I was sent on a TDY actually from one base because I had to go inspect a brand new hospital on another side of the Navajo Nation. Is gigantic. It's actually bigger than West Virginia, believe it or not. So we had to drive all the way over there, and like, I didn't need to go through 7 different people to approve it, right? When I was enlisted, if I want to do anything, it has to get sent up through my supervisor first, and goes to the E6, right? Go to the E5, and go to the E6, and it goes to the E7, 3 of them. Then it goes to the senior, and it goes to the chief, E9. And then it goes to the flight commander, which is the 01 to 03. Then it goes across this building to the squadron building that has to go sign off by the E6, and then it has to go up to the command chief, right? And then it becomes like, and it goes to like the first sergeant, then it goes to the commander, and then you finally get everything signed off. Like, that's so much crap. Like, in officers, you're like right there next to your commander, right there. Her office, I can see it. I just walk in, hey, yeah, can you approve this real quick? Like, yeah, I just send an email. I don't need to go and like write things in tongue and quill and have to get approved and knocked back 7 different times, and then like, oh, because of the comma, and then the other person, the grammar is completely different, and none of the enlisted know anything about English, grammar, because they only have a high school education, but they're like, oh yeah, this comma is supposed to be there, right? Blah, 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 blah. It keeps getting kicked back. Eventually, like, by the time it's 3 years from now, you finally get a paperwork up. With this, you're like, hey, commander, can you sign this up? Done. Like, you don't have to go through 7 different freaking steps. Different people have to see it. You're already up there. Like, hey, like, when I remember being in the military, being enlisted, like, I want to go on space for the space A. You have to go talk to the first sergeant. They have to like quiz you, and before you even talk to the first sergeant, you have to talk to your supervisor. If you're an E4 or below, you're gonna have to talk to the E5, the staff sergeant. Then you have to talk to the tech sergeant. Then you're gonna have to go up and talk to the master sergeant, which is an E7. Then maybe the senior or the chief that you have on there. That's the whole enlisted freaking chain that you have to talk to. Every single one of them have to approve on you, right? And they have to quiz you, like, oh, what happened if the space A is not available? How are you gonna come back? Blah, blah, blah. I'm an adult, and like and then like you have to go over to your flight commander, and he needs to talk to you a little bit, and you have to go over to the other side and talk to the first sergeant at the squadron building, and then you have to talk to a little bit about the commander. The commander has to sign off on it, and it's like, they make it so difficult for enlisted to even take a space A. or get surgery or anything with the Air Force or the military, that like it's just not worth it. It's just better just you just pay for it, right? But in the but in the officer, you're just like, hey, Commander, can you sign this off? Cool. You know, I need to get something reimbursed. Hey, Commander, can you hey, Supervisor, which is my Lieutenant Commander, hey, can you sign this? Then the Lieutenant Commander send it to Commander, come back, done. Doesn't have to go through 7 different people. It does. I don't need to quiz them and answer them like, hey, how am I going to come back home if the flight is not available? I'm gonna buy another flight. It's not that hard. I'm an adult. Can you just treat me like an adult? If I don't come back in time, just take some leave off of my day. It's so freaking easy. Like, come on, guys. This is like, I mean, like, it is. Like, people will tell you that, like, oh, what's so great about being an officer? And they're trying to be like, oh, being officer is so much harder than being enlisted. It is not. It is not. It is more work, more responsibility that I was doing. A lot of writing, you know, because I had to do a lot of reporting. I'm very detailed in the report. I did a PhD before I did my master's, and I didn't finish the PhD, but I went to a master's and now I'm applying to a doctorate. So I'm really good at writing very detailed paper and report. So I take a lot of time to write them, but it's work that I enjoy. In the officer corps, you know, it's more work, but I don't feel like it's work. It's fun work, right? But enlisted, it is the most tedious, the most grunt work. You're gonna hate your life and stuff. And they're trying to tell you that you matter and all these different things, but they don't treat you matter. They treat you like a grunt. They treat you like you're disposable, and they tell you to do this and that and all these things that you don't want to do, and you know, things that, you know, you not even in your job, but in the officer corps, you know, you do what your job requires, and that's about it. You know, like, yeah, you have some meeting, you have something, that's just normal. But you know, I never feel like I was in the officer corps and I feel inferior to anyone, right? And they do respect me a lot more because of my education and my skill set that I bring in that other people may not have. And I'm very respectful with other people as well for the experience and the rank. But I never felt like I'm inferior, that I'm being pushed down, that people would look down on me. But when I was enlisted, I felt like I was just a cockroach. Like everyone seemed to be trying to pull rank over another and be like, how dare you do this and that because you're just this enlisted person and you're only an E3 or you're only an E5 and all these things. And you know, people don't get like officer in trouble unless there's something that's really serious, like you beat up someone, right? And like, you know, like I'm making a video like this. I got in trouble when I was enlisted because I'm making a video to kind of help people explain the Air Force, and they're like, well, you didn't get approval by the public affairs office, and they try to give me an Article 15. And of course, it's not because of that, but because of racism and other things. And they were trying to get me on something, right? And then they just kind of landed on that. But as an officer, no one's gonna come and hey, how dare you post a video, blah 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 blah, you know? Like no one's gonna be like, oh, how dare you come in 1 minute late and having an aneurysm and being all mad. You know, it is what it is, man. But it, you know, what is what it is. But yeah. So that's my time as an officer, and it is what it is. And I had a good time being an officer. I know it's a short active duty type kind of a thing. But you know, it is something that is treated like I would be an officer, and I know I'm not an officer, I'm a contractor technically, but exactly the same role as an officer and treated exactly the same thing, and I did the exact same job as an officer, and you know, got the same type of respect and prestige as an officer would, right? Just don't get the TRICARE, but don't have to shave. Okay, so yeah. If you have been through my shoes, tell me if you agree or disagree. If you have any questions, and you know, tell me about your journey. Where are you at? You know, in your journey to become an officer or enlisted or in the military. Just let me know. Tell me if you agree or disagree. It's okay to disagree with me. This is just my experience. Other people may have different experience. Yeah, I understand. You know, like. Just let me know. If you have any question, let me know down there. And if you want to have conversation regarding, you know, the military, the Air Force. I do consultation. I help a lot of people. There's one person in the Navy right now who just commissioned, thanks to me. And a lot of people have joined, have utilized my consultation. So if you need some, and I do it for free. No, I don't get it. And if you do so much, I may ask for a donation, but usually not. It's free. If you, because I want to help you help the country, right? Service before self type things. If you're interested in the military or any type of uniform service or whatnot, let me know and I can help you. If you're already in, if you're trying to commission or whatnot, I can also help you there as well because I have the experience. So thanks guys and have a good one. It's already 30 minutes, so I'm gonna cut it here. But yeah, let me know if you agree or disagree.